You're watching the Isaiah Factor Uncensored.
And welcome back to the second half hour of the Factor Uncensored. Now, they've been on the front lines fighting for this country, and our military veterans have often returned with scars, both physically and mentally. There are just under 20 million veterans nationwide right now. And tonight on the Factor, we wanted to check in with the status of veteran care.
Well, I think the both the VA and local government, particularly here in Houston, several years ago, set out to really try to improve the lives of veterans, particularly in Houston. Wanted to make Houston the #1 spot in America for veterans. I do believe it is. I do think they've made some great progress. With that said, there are some huge challenges still out there in front of us. While homeless rate numbers are going down in the veteran community, which we applaud everybody that's a part of that, it's just kind of transfer the issue from homelessness to putting them many times in places that you or I would want anybody to live in, anybody that we cared about. So there's a lot of challenges still in front of us, but some progress has been made, and like everything else, there's some wins and some losses along the way.
Now, when we talk about Houston wanting to be the best city for veterans, what have we seen specifically here that sets us apart from other major cities and other parts of the country?
Well, actually, I think it goes back to Mayor Bill White, and he really set out a plan. I want to change Houston. I want Houston to become the place for veterans to go. And I will tell you, for I think a lot of reasons, a lot of veterans have moved here from across the country. Certainly those who've come to Camp Hope, while many of them have gone and returned home successfully, a lot of them realize while they're here, hey, this is different than anywhere else they've ever been. And they want to find employment. They want to find a place to live. They want to find a place to start or raise a family, a career. They find Houston to be an amazing place. There's a great contingency of people here in the Houston area that truly do love and support our veterans, and they see that while they're here.
And you guys have started Camp Hope, part of PTSD Foundation of America. And David, I just want to say you guys have done an absolutely wonderful job in providing housing, getting many of these veterans who may have substance abuse problems or other issues on their feet, and you don't separate them from their family. Tell people a little bit about the program, Camp Hope, and what you guys do there.
Well, Camp Hope is the residential program of PTSD Foundation of America. We're a peer-to-peer organization. We do different groups across the country, but when we meet veterans or veterans reach out to us, family members, sometimes it's veteran courts, sometimes it's VA representatives reaching out on behalf of a veteran that needs something more than a weekly support group or more than what a lot of organizations do, which is a weekend or a week-long retreat. And there's nothing wrong with any of those things. It's just many of the time these guys have been self-medicating for decades. Sometimes these Vietnam vets have been self-medicating for 5 decades. And a weekend or a week-long retreat's not going to change the trajectory of their life. So we bring them in from all across the country, every era of war. They live with us 6 months to a year is basically the program. Some are here up to a year, depending on some of the things that are going on. We get them to understand what PTSD is, how it's rewired their brain, and then how to cope with that going forward and get some coping mechanisms, some great new skill sets. We also want to make sure they're set up with a new career or going back to school so they've got income, housing, transportation. We try to take care of all those things. And that's just one of the programs that we do here in the Houston area. We just launched a place that we call The Ranch. And it's a place where any veteran, no matter what the problem is, they could come in to the ranch. It's open 9 to 5. Come in anytime. They may come in higher than a kite. They may come in drunker than they've ever been before. You're welcome to come to the ranch. You're not going to be judged. You're not going to be, ratted out. Just come to a place where you're around other combat veterans, and let's see if we can't help you find a way to live a better day. So that's a new opportunity we have here in the Houston area that we are very, very excited about.
Do you guys ever get overwhelmed with the number of veterans out there who may need your help? Obviously, you've started the ranch now, in addition to Camp Hope. is there ever a time where the need is just simply too great?
Well, the need is too great. One of our big issues right now, it continues to be just awareness. And that's one reason why we love Isaiah Carey, helping us get the word out that we're here. And one of the reasons we started the ranch in our Houston chapter is we've had an awful lot of families through the years reach out to our organization after their loved one became a statistic. And while we're happy to help them and help them navigate the VA and opportunities for their families to get benefits, we want to reach that veteran before they become a statistic. So our Houston chapter operates completely outside of Camp Hope, and they're tasked with making sure every veteran, every family member of a veteran is aware that our organization is here, it works, and everything that we do is absolutely free. But yes, it can be overwhelming. During the heights of COVID, we reached to 95 veterans living here on our campus when we're really built for about 80. There are plenty of opportunities for growth in what we're doing.
And welcome back. We're talking about the health care of our veterans on The Factor tonight. Before the break, we heard about the resources available for them, but it takes money to keep those up and running. It's something you can make a difference with.
You're always open to getting any assistance or help from the public, whatever they may have, to help these veterans, right?
Yeah, I tell folks we get something from the electric company every month, and surprisingly, it's not a thank you note for saving. It costs money to turn the lights on. It costs money to move guys from here to the VA or bring them in from Atlanta or wherever it is that they live. So sure, like any nonprofit, it takes some money to make things go. We're very proud of the fact that we can take that dollar that's donated and spread it very, very far and do some great support. So yes, we're constantly needing volunteers and supporters to help us do what we do.
Now, each administration, we always get a lot of lip service from the commander-in-chief and what they're going to do for the veterans of this country. What are you hearing so far that may be promising or not so promising from the Biden administration right now?
Well, frankly, there's just been very little to talk about, pro or con. Let's just face it, COVID has dominated world news for a couple of years now. Then you bring in Ukraine and what's going on there. I will say one of the decisions, and not so much the fact that we pulled out of Afghanistan, but the way that we pulled out of Afghanistan, there was a rage amongst Afghanistan veterans when that took place because they knew the people that they had left behind and made promises to that we would not do that to them. So there was quite a negative reaction to that. But frankly, there's not a lot happening today, pro or con necessarily, as far as change goes within the VA that's noticeable. We have had some great success with our local VA here in Houston, and we're very, very thankful for that. Some great people that work there, and we're excited to continue to build on that relationship.
What do you want to see on the national level for veterans? Obviously, we've kind of glanced over PTSD. I take it for granted that everyone knows about it. But first of all, tell us about PTSD, exactly what it is, and how many veterans that it affects.
Well, the average statistic will be somewhere around 12 to 13 or even up to 18% of military veterans will be diagnosed with PTSD. Now, you break that down into those who've seen combat, and the PTSD numbers soar. Some suggest even up to 80% of veterans who see combat are going to be diagnosed with some type of trauma-related mental health system. Now, with PTSD, we basically call it the rewiring of the brain. You take an 18-year-old and you put him in, let's say, Baghdad, and he's going down the street kicking doors all day long for months, or if not even for a year. Every trash bag on the side of the road could be a potential threat, not only to him, to those who are serving with. Then he comes home, and that trash bag on the side of the road to him is still a threat. When it's not a threat, it's just trash day, and his neighbors put the trash out, and he can't quite adjust to that. So that's a fairly simple way to people to understand what's going on with our veterans and why the hyper anxiety takes place. But the statistics are staggering. We're losing more than 20 veterans every single day to suicide. A couple of weeks ago, USA Today ran several reports about military suicides continuing to rise, particularly in the Army. So we have a big issue that's very complex. There's no easy answers. And, Congress, love them, hate them, indifferent to them. There's only so much they can do. It comes down to the people who are directly around that individual. And that's true whether it's a veteran or a civilian. Mm-hmm. All of us have lived and experienced trauma in our life. And it's all about those core people around us and how we engage them and support them during those times.
All right. David Maulsby from Camp Hope, PTSD Foundation of America. Once again, thank you for what you guys do. You work tirelessly to help the veterans out there, not just in Houston, but from around the country, as you said.